Hello and welcome. Kerry here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet with our Carnivore Q&A Thursday night live. We're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways tonight. We've got Adam from Carnivore today,
There he
Ashley
is.
from
Hey, Adam.
Carnivore Brothers, Lynn from Midlife Carnivore, and the wonderful Dr. Nelson here too. How you guys all doing?
Doing great.
Doing
Fantastic.
excellent. Thank you.
So we're going to do some giveaways. We're here to have some fun. We're here to answer any questions you might have. It looks like people are jumping on and joining right now. So to kick things off, we're going to give away a Healing Humanity t-shirt, hashtag ribeye. So post your best question with hashtag ribeye, and we're going to randomly pick one of y'all for a winner, but you got to use that hashtag ribeye. And in order to win, you also need to follow each one of the speakers you see here on the screen. I have a link in the description for each of them. Takes like 2 seconds, so just go follow, subscribe to each of them, and hashtag ribeye. We also have our Healing Humanity membership site where you can get 50% off right now. Promo code LIFE325. You can see that at the bottom of the screen. That's also listed in the description below if you're interested in joining us there. We just got off an awesome call. One of our Healing Humanity heroes, Nia from Nia's Way. We honored her as one of our heroes tonight. We got Dr. Kiltz coming up next week as our expert. So join us there if you want. And if we can't get to all the questions tonight, which sometimes it's hard to get to all of them, we can always cover them on the healinghumanity.life website. So you guys ready for some questions?
Absolutely.
All right, let's see what we got here. First, we got a new member, Tina2 Happy Trails. Thank you for your membership. Question from Barry Simon. Kerry, what meat sales, wow, this is some trivia. What meat sales company did you work for starting out? That's an interesting question. I don't know if that was a legitimate question or a joke because I love meat so much, but actually one of my first jobs in high school, I sold steaks door to door, and the name of the company was Omaha Steaks.
Yeah, I know that.
Not to be confused with Omaha's Choice. It was or maybe I'm getting those mixed up, but
Yeah, the other way around.
Yeah. It wasn't the legit big company. It was a smaller knockoff one. So
okay.
I've come full circle now. Yeah, so that was my first one there. So thank you for that, Barry. Let's see what we got in the questions here. We got a bunch of hashtag ribeyes. Granny Boo's in the chat. Melissa Willis, Lori Brick.
Saw hi from somebody there from Canada earlier. Love that.
Oh yeah, we got to do a quick shout out while you guys are gathering your questions. Hit us with some good questions here tonight. We're looking for some good questions.
Yeah, I see one from Cheryl about the gallbladder.
Okay, we'll take that one in a second. While you guys are putting those questions in, I got to do one more quick shout out. Ashley can maybe help me with this one. We got a couple here, but this is a big one. Yuma, right, Ashley?
Yeah, coming up April 13th. Dr. Barry, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson, Dante. It's a super exciting lineup. We're super excited about this one, and it's going to be. Those tickets are going, so we got to make sure if you're interested in that one, get your tickets purchased. You can go to healinghumanity.movie/events, and we've got those events on there. And then we just posted officially our next two events as well. There's a meetup happening in Ontario, Canada, and then in June will be Seattle, Washington. So some exciting stuff going on, and those are all available on the healinghumanity.movie/events website.
Yeah, Washington, we're going to have Bella, Steak and Butter Gang, going to be out there. Dr. Baker. It's going to be some good ones. So there's a link for that in the description below if you missed it, for the events page as well. So, all right, let's see what other questions we have. A question here. I hear that brains are the best organs to eat as a carnivore. I can only find bison meat mixed with liver and heart. Do you know of any brain organ meat I can buy at the market or online? Anyone got any experience with that?
I would talk to a butcher and see if that's an option. I've never even asked for brains. Have you guys?
No, that's a new one on me.
I haven't heard that about the organ as well. Have you heard anything about that, Dr. Nelson?
No, but I know that uh, some states may have outlawed it. Do you remember the mad cow disease fiasco thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it, I don't know for sure if at the time you couldn't find even if you wanted to buy brain.
I know Ancestral Supplements has the freeze dried supplement for the beef brain. But you're right, Dr. Nelson. They might have outlawed it because I believe they've also outlawed thyroid. Also, I don't think you can get thyroid at all.
It may still be sold, but I don't try to buy it. I haven't looked into it, so I think Dr. Kiltz has one of the products that is multiple organs. I don't know if it includes brains. He said he was going to be here, but he was traveling also today.
All right. Hey, our buddy Caleb's Carnivore Quest. He's always got great questions. Would any of you ever consider eating a different way? I'll go no on that one. Anyone else?
That's an easy no for me as well. I
Easy no.
yeah.
I
Doing
was
it this
lost.
long, I definitely wouldn't.
I was lost, and now I'm found.
There you go.
Yeah, and I know Caleb is young, so has not probably. And I don't know all about Caleb, but I know that it takes time to develop some of the illnesses that we've developed in our lifetime, and so it definitely helps when you've experienced a tremendous amount of healing.
Yeah, and I would say too that like Lynn, like she had to get very, very strict with her histamine and issues and things like that. But things changed a little bit for you, right? You just mentioned a short time ago that you are now eating also some eggs and some bacon that you couldn't eat before, that you had reactions to it. So, as you might add things in a little bit at a time to see if things that previously impacted you still do, because I think that
Right.
that was a kind of cool thing that you noticed for yourself.
Right. And so for me, I get to add some variety to my diet, but it's still under the carnivore umbrella. And so that's been nice for me, but I don't have any desire to eat anything that's not carnivore.
And the more metabolically healthy that you are, or let's say you don't have that many problems as some others, you might be able to tolerate a little bit,
Yeah.
Fruits here and there, vegetables. We do know a big carnivore guy that had 200 to 400 grams a day. Well, he is at a different metabolic health than most people are. So you might be able to tolerate adding a little bit, but me personally, probably not.
Right. All right. Donna Jordan is asking, what is for dinner? Burger patties.
I am on day 2 of a 3-day fast. So for me, nothing.
Water?
Water.
I
Yeah.
just broke a fast during your meeting previously on the site. I had 2 burger patties and some chicken wings.
That's why your video was off and you were scarfing up your food.
I was eating. But I did about 90 hours for
Nice.
almost 4 complete days.
Wow.
And
Nice.
last meal had been Sunday night, and then now Thursday night.
I guess, am I the only one with a big fat ribeye ready to go for tonight after this? I am.
I was waiting to hear what Ashley. I was thinking brisket.
Don't be
tonight.
mean, Ashley. You don't have to be mean.
Show off.
I actually didn't eat very much yesterday, and so because I've got a nice big thick 2-inch ribeye that I was saying, all right, I'm going to save that one for after the live stream. But
And Adam's traveling, so I'm curious to hear what Adam's plans are.
Ice cream.
Dairy Queen.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. I had
Buttermilk
those on the way. No, there's a place like we're literally within walking distance called The Grill, and I looked at their menu and they've got 16-ounce ribeye. So I think that's what I'm going to go and get
Nice.
right after this.
Nice. Awesome.
As well, enjoy that vacation of yours, right?
Yep.
Live it up.
Here's a question from Cheryl. And just a quick reminder, we're giving away a Healing Humanity t-shirt in a couple minutes. Post your best question with hashtag ribeye. How will this diet affect those that don't have a gallbladder? Who here? Raise your hand if you don't have a gallbladder. 2 out of 5. All right.
Yeah.
Usually that percentage is higher, right?
Right.
Well, it's FFF, right, Dr. Nelson? It's fat female and 40. Tends to be the big thing when it comes to, and of course you can, if you're knowledgeable, you can add a fourth F, fructose, because fructose really does affect your liver and gallbladder. But from my personal experience was I had to go a little bit slower with getting fat adapted as far as getting the fat in. Some people take a lipase enzyme or ox bile to help them along. But you potentially might find when you're first getting started that it takes a little bit of an adjustment. And so I would, some people end up with diarrhea because they have too much fat too quickly. And so I would say gauge how you do, because we're all very individual and it depends on how much fat you ate before. But if you're getting diarrhea and you're having upset stomach and discomfort, back off and go a little slower with the fat. That would be my advice. What about you, Kerry?
Yeah, it has been mostly a non-issue for me. I'm careful around rendered fats, like melted butter bothers me. But other than that, I think I did ox bile a little bit when I started, but then I've been fine ever since. So yeah, just take it a little slow. And it's amazing and distressing how many carnivores don't have a gallbladder. I think
your body adapts, though.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally adapted. Absolutely. And the ox bile, the dosage can really vary for each individual too. So if you wanted to do ox bile, play around with the dosing.
Today, I was doing a little bit of research on gallbladder because I have mentioned before, I have more than 50 first cousins, and some of us that grew very close together have a child, and one of them, who's a female, who is bigger size and definitely over 40, is having gallbladder issues. She's vegetarian. So I found an article on a study that done in Great Britain, I think, where vegetarians have more frequent gallbladder dysfunction issues.
Not surprising.
Right. Okay. The next question we have is, how does a carnivore diet affect the kidney or, say, a fatty liver?
Good question.
Looks like it.
Positively?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so I can say that initially my kidney values were a little worse. So my creatinine went up a little bit. My GFR went down a little bit initially. I was told that was just kidneys adjusting to the excess protein. I don't know, maybe Dr. Nelson can confirm or deny that. But the fatty liver absolutely will get better because you're not eating the things that contributed to getting fatty liver. It's the carbohydrates, the fructose, the sugars that gave you and the low fat that gave, that contributed to all that, but particularly these carbohydrates. So when you stop eating those, your liver is going to get better. And I would definitely, if you want to know anything about liver and talk about liver, talk to Coach Lisa. She's definitely focuses on the liver. But I wouldn't, if you're just starting, I wouldn't be overly concerned if you see a little bit of an uptick in some kidney values and a little bit of a decrease in the GFR, but it does correct itself. At least for me, it did.
The increased creatinine is a result of increased protein, and like you said, it's most likely transitory because overall, some even recent studies have shown that, contrary to the previous belief of most doctors and some studies, high protein doesn't really damage the kidney. So There'll be some improvement. Creatinine might go up temporarily, and one of the things you can do to double check that it's not really your kidney function getting worse, because the GFR is the result of a formula that uses the creatinine. So if the creatinine goes up, the GFR is a calculated result. It's going to go down. But you can do a cystatin C test. Many doctors don't even know about it, and that will give you a more accurate estimated glomerular filtration rate, which is the eGFR.
All right, $2 super chat from Caleb's Carnivore Quest. Is fasting essential for success on Carnivore?
Nope.
Not at all. I think there's a lot of cool elements, especially of healing with fasting, and that's definitely something people explore. And Adam and myself, I'm not going to throw anything out there specifically, Adam, don't worry, but we're going to do a little fasting challenge ourselves here coming up. But there's definitely some elements to healing with that are very, very important. But is it necessary? No. And I want to say that, but I think the primary reason, the way I look at this, is I would say that eating 3 square meals a day is not normal either. I think that's just something that our culture has done. We've got food on every corner, fast food restaurants, grocery stores. The convenience of doing that, the timing, that's something that we've ingrained. I don't know that was ancestrally what we did, right? I think there was probably a lot of natural fasts when they didn't have food resources available or crops ready to eat and things like that fasting was more of a normal way of life for them within certain time frames, right? It may be a shorter fast, but until that next hunt comes in, or until that the crops were ready to eat. So I think what we have with modern conveniences today has really just got us completely out of whack with how frequently we eat.
Yeah, too frequently. Is it absolutely necessary? No, it's not necessary. However, there are a lot of good benefits, especially if you need to increase insulin sensitivity. It does help with improving insulin sensitivity, decreasing hyperinsulinemia, and getting your metabolic motor working better. It does help with that. Look at Dr. Jason Fung. It's you can find all over YouTube. Either his channel or on him on other channels, he talks about fasting a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Jeffrey's asking, any danger to not slowing oxalate dumping with green tea? Mine is all skin erupting white crystals. Arms look like a meth head skin picker skin. No joint pain or stones. Thoughts?
Just scratch it and keep going. I had a rash for 3 to 4 months, and I could pick it out. Besides that, they didn't have any other problems. So
Yeah.
I guess it really depends on the severity of it, right? Like if you have open wounds and things like that, maybe you want to consider trying to slow it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would ask, how is it affecting your functioning during the day as well? I mean, is it distracting you from work? Is it affecting your ability to function? If you're functioning fine, it'll, like Dr. Nelson said, it'll pass. But if it's a real disruptor to your life, then you might want to slow it down a little bit. But that's going to be an individual decision. But as far as damaging your body, it sounds like Dr. Nelson's saying it's not going to damage you, except maybe if you scratch too much.
Nancy C says, developing brown spots on my legs, but they are red and irritated before they turn brown. Any thoughts?
Usually, are you ready to repeat these words, Kerry? Usually that's a result of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
I was just going to say that.
And basically, you probably have edema, some stasis, some venous stasis, and some of the red blood cells are extravasating, in other words, coming out of the vein, and they turn brown because you're getting some iron staining in your skin. you didn't mention if you were carnivore, how long, but I used to have a lot of edema. For the first time in my life, I can look at my legs and say, well, maybe I have skinny legs. Uh, so yes, it would help with whatever is causing the edema because it's just a result of inflammation.
All right. Okay. We're going to do a drawing in just a minute for the shirt. Hashtag ribeye. If you have any questions, post it with hashtag ribeye. The next question we have is, let's see here. What's up with this snake diet I'm hearing about lately? They say low carb is just masking the problem of insulin resistance and claim that low fat, high carb gets the metabolism back on track.
The proof is in the pudding for me. I mean, I've been vegetarian before. This is what worked for me. I'm not going to even argue that I think low carb is the best way to increase insulin sensitivity. I'm trying not to use those two words there, but I think it's the best way to decrease insulin, because what caused the high levels of insulin and the insulin resistance? Chronic excessive carbohydrate consumption.
Yeah.
So,
and how many decades have we done low fat, high carb? And the condition of our health in this country has continued to decline over the decades to the point where we're in crisis. So I'd be really curious to hear how they justify saying that, given the evidence of the health of our nation.
Right. 9 out of 10 people with poor metabolic health, and most of them are eating high carb.
Yeah, that's what they've been preaching to us for decades now, and it's not working.
All right. We got a question from Christine. Got one bag below one eye only. Any of you saw a reduction? Mine is below the drop line.
I would want to know if you have done like red light therapy. I do red light therapy on my face, and I found it to be helpful for maybe tightening up the skin a little bit.
Wasn't that something you had early on, Kerry? Didn't you have the bags? I remember a video way early on that you had bags under your eyes that you saw clear up.
I was going to say Kerry's the next one to answer.
Yeah. The first video I ever did on Carnivore was a picture of my eye bags before and after. So that definitely cleared up for me on Carnivore. Although I did a couple videos, I think when I was 60 days on Carnivore, maybe 90 days, where I'd get up super early in the morning and they'd start coming back a little bit. I almost wondered if part of it was being dehydrated. But I don't know. I had bags under my eyes for years and years and years, and they're pretty much completely gone now on Carnivore.
I have dark circles around my eyes that can get darker depending on whether I slept well or not, whether I have my allergies or not. So sometimes you can develop the discoloration. It's frequent. My son also the same. It basically comes from my mother, who had very dark circles, and but not bags. Bags, you might have it with some edema if you didn't sleep well. But they definitely, with Kerry, they got a lot better.
It's interesting that it's on only one eye and not the other. And so I don't know, Dr. Nelson, could that be a little bit of a lymphatic issue?
It's possible it could be allergies as well. My wife, when we met, she would get very severe allergies on one eye and not on the other. And it was all the environmental. We should have affected both eyes at the same time. It didn't. It just, one got like really hugely swollen and the other eye will be normal. So sometimes our body does things like that.
Yeah. It doesn't sound as much like a systemic problem, though, if it's only one eye. It sounds more like it's a local issue.
We got a $10 super chat. Thank you for that. All of our super chats go 100% towards the documentary. Kerry, have you ever talked about the graying of your beard? Do you think it's carnivore related or a normal age thing? It's related to having triplets at home.
Maybe or stress from
Four
raising
females,
four teenage girls.
Right?
5 females.
I don't think it has to do with carnivore, right? I was just looking because I saw this. Even my 30-day video, I had the before and after with the eye bags like we were talking. I still had gray then. I guess maybe it's a little bit more gray. The other thing that's changed, interestingly, is I had a huge white patch here for 10 years. Jen would cut my hair. I'm not even exaggerating. It looked like someone took spray paint and just went psh, like a circle of it. And then that's completely gone on carnivore. So I don't know. I don't know if the beard whitening is carnivore or age. I don't feel like it's carnivore. Like I said, if I look back to my first 30 days on carnivore, I still had quite a bit of, it looked pretty similar. So
Is the burden of the documentary.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's making a documentary.
This is right.
Answering all these questions is making it turn grayer too. Yeah. No, I blame it on the triplets.
They get no respect.
Right.
Like Dr. Nelson.
Question for Lynn. Found out I might have a histamine intolerance while on carnivore and afraid I might have to stop carnivore. Any advice, or can I still do carnivore? I'm on a budget as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have mast cell activation syndrome, which is a form. It is histamine intolerance. Usually, histamine intolerances will go away, but absolutely, I have done my whole carnivore journey on a low histamine version of carnivore. So you're going to need to take a look at the freshness of what you eat. So no aged or smoked meats or cheeses. You may need to cut out egg whites because they're high histamine. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but you can eat carnivore even on a budget with, as long as you're really keeping an eye out. I would definitely recommend going to my channel and checking out my histamine for my low histamine for carnivores video. I go into a ton of detail in that video about how to do it, because I've been doing it now for going almost 2 years. And I did a whole year on a very strict low histamine lion diet. And that now I can eat things that are higher in histamine. So you just have to drain your histamine bucket. You start to have a reaction with histamine when your bucket gets so full inside your body, gets so full, you get too much histamine, and that one little thing will set you off. And you just have to avoid the histamine until your bucket drains and you can start to have a little more. And you might need to be a little careful at first, but like now I can eat 5-6 eggs and 6 strips of bacon a day and not have any issues. And I never thought that day would come.
All right. Next question we have. Too many carnivores believe 80-20 ground beef at the butcher, 80% lean, 20% fat, meets the criteria of how carnivore nutritionists describe 80-20, which is 80% calories from fat, completely different.
True.
So 80-20 refers to the weight of the muscle and fat that they put in. And when you go 50-50, that by weight, grams of fat and grams of protein, that translates to about 75-25 as far as calories from each macro. But just keep it simple and eat the fatty meat. And if you're having any problems, then you worry about trying to tweak, this much or that much. Sometimes a lot of people worry that much about, am I eating the right proportion? And if they don't have big hurdles to jump, it probably doesn't make much of a difference. But like 50-50 would give you 75-25 more or less of the calories coming from each macro.
It's based on weight, right?
Based on weight.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's give away this Healing Humanity t-shirt. We're going to pick a winner here. Drum roll, please. Oh, we don't have a drum roll today. There we go. Winner of a Healing Humanity t-shirt. And if you didn't win and you want to get a t-shirt, Ellen M.
Ellen.
Congratulations,
Right.
Ellen. Ellen's awesome. Adam, how can Ellen claim her t-shirt?
Ellen, you can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway, fill out the form, and Ashley will send you the shirt promptly.
Congratulations, Ellen. And if you didn't win the shirt, you still want one, we do have those for sale, and proceeds from those go towards the documentary. So the next thing we'll give away here is 30-day free membership to healinghumanity.life, our membership site. So please post your questions with #life. #life. And in case you just jumped on, make sure you go and subscribe to each of the speakers you see here. They're all listed in the description. You have to subscribe in order to win. And then, oh, there we go. #life with your question. All right. The next question we have is from Bev. Do any of y'all ever fall off the carnivore wagon for the day?
Nope.
I never have. No.
I will say the closest that I have was when we did go on a vacation on a cruise, and this was early on, and I wouldn't say fall off the wagon. Well, I guess I did for a day, and had some desserts and stuff, and then I got right back on. But it was, to me, I'm at the point now where I've seen the difference, and I look at food differently, honestly, and thankfully I'm far enough through my sugar cravings that I really just don't even get tempted. And what's weird, I was just talking about this with my wife the other day. A lot of people say, well, I don't know what to eat. There's no options, whatever else. I really have the opposite problem. I'm like, man, should I have eggs? Should I have another steak? Should I have some burgers today? Like every day it's like exciting for me what I'm going to get to eat. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I know I've absolutely broken my sugar addiction. There's no doubt in my mind, and I have no cravings at all for carbs. But I had a very strong why, because I was totally disabled, and so I had no life for my whole adult life. I was sick, so I can't even imagine wanting to try to even tempt reversing the gains that I've had. It actually scares me to think of that I could actually do something to reverse what I've accomplished as far as my health. So not saying it's always been that way. I mean, we all had to get through that hump where, you have to
Not
push
easy.
through it and get support if you're struggling. And if you're not part of our community, can maybe consider, because we do have a Breaking Addictions group. We are there to support you and give you, be your cheerleaders as you're doing this.
I think I also have to add into that if you do fall off the wagon and you have a day that's bad, don't blow the whole weekend. Don't play the whole week, or I'll start again next month. Start again tomorrow. Like, let's pick up the pieces where you dropped them and get back up, because I think the more you delay it, the more you push it off, and it's just okay for the harder it'll be to get back on track.
Yeah, and don't beat yourself up, and don't allow shame to sink in. And that's where the community is really important, because if you're able to be honest and transparent and say, hey, look, I blew it, I did this, the community will rally around you and encourage you. And it just, whatever if you feel like you eat something you're not supposed to eat, don't wait till the next day. Just your next meal needs to be carnivore, and pick up right there.
Good stuff. Today is officially my 2 years on carnivore.
Yay!
Haven't fallen off the wagon, but people give me a hard time all the time. But I fell off the wagon many times doing keto over the years, and it was always so disappointing.
Me too.
But the night is young right now, so I'd go celebrate, get some ice cream or something to celebrate the 2 years. But no, I can't even imagine. I feel like I would get sick to my stomach at this point if I even ate something like that. I've heard so many horror stories from people too that are like, yeah, I tried something and it just tasted artificial or way too sweet or nothing like I remembered it, sort of thing. So,
yeah.
All right. Here's a good question. Why have generations of Asians been able to eat rice and stay thin? If it's because they otherwise eat healthy, can we do the same?
Genetics plays a big role in that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Plus,
definitely.
plus Southeast Asian, like Chinese, Indian, Pakistan, and all those countries, there is a very high incidence of diabetes, of uh, thin outside, fat inside people, fatty liver. They're, you know, declaring them completely healthy might be
Yeah.
a mistake just because they're thin. They can be with a normal BMI of 25, they can have fatty liver and excess visceral fat. So listen, I grew up in Puerto Rico, rice and beans 2 or 3 times a day growing up. I mean, that rice in particular had to be there in the school lunches. At least everything was fresh at the school cafeteria, but basically was rice and beans almost every day, and at home as well.
Yeah.
I can't tolerate it right now. It's basically, what are the results you're having? If you're doing great, keep doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, and so can we do the same? I don't think I know I can't do the same.
I don't
Like
think
Adam,
in America, no. I mean, I'd be
right.
curious to see what would happen. Like a lot of the Asians come over and they eat like us and they gain a lot of weight. And I'd be curious to see what would happen if we would go there, if we would adapt and lose weight. I don't know. But again, I think Dr. Nelson's point is key. Thin doesn't mean healthy. And just as fat doesn't necessarily assume that you like have issues. Like I was 350 probably plus pounds. I had a CT scan. I didn't have any fatty liver disease. You can't just assume that because someone's overweight. I was pre-diabetic, but for many, many years, I was morbidly obese and not in the pre-diabetic range. And so it's hard to judge someone's health based on their size and just have a blanket, statement about they're thin, so therefore they must be healthy, or they're fat, therefore they're unhealthy.
A few
Right.
years ago, I had a couple of patients that were uh, from Asian countries. They were not Chinese, but from a couple of the countries around. And both of them had hemoglobin A1Cs over 15. Now, the capacity of the test, the maximum result you could get was 15.5. One of them had 15.5, the other one a little bit higher than 15. And both of them, 3 months later, after asking them to decrease rice and noodles, that I'm talking about cultures like those are staples, right? So both of them within 3 or 4 months when they came back, one of them, the A1C was under 6, the other one was just about 6. And all they did was stop eating the rice and the noodles.
Well,
All right. We got a question from Charger Mopar Rick. Will anyone learn how to cook on their engine?
Oh
I'm
man,
gonna have to have you teach me, Rick.
He's going to have to hold a workshop.
I know.
Yeah.
How important is electrolyte supplementation on carnivore? For me, it solved my carnivore diarrhea.
I mean, I think it could be really helpful at the beginning, as you're adapting, it can be very helpful. I think you have to be careful about the ingredients of the electrolyte that you use because a lot of them have some bad ingredients, and even the flavor element has stevia in it. I used electrolytes for quite a while, and but I don't use them anymore. So I don't know if you guys used them or not, but I think it helped me adapt.
Yeah, just at the beginning for me, and that's what I hear from a lot is during that transition phase, probably more important than anything. But I haven't used an electrolyte substitute or added anything in a year and a half.
Yeah, I had struggled with using it too much because I liked the flavor, and it was because of the natural flavors and the stevia. And so I was using it way beyond when I needed to. So I'd just be careful that that doesn't happen, and maybe use a raw, like the Element raw and flavored one.
All right. Cisse, what is a better meal, roasted beef or steak, nutrition-wise?
Yes.
Yes.
True.
I would say, isn't there? It depends on how you cook that steak, because a roasted beef is has typically cooked for a very long time, right? Still good for you. But I think some might say, especially Dr. Kiltz, if he was on here, eating more of the raw or the rare version of the steak is probably going to be better for you.
By the way,
Yeah.
he sent his apologies. He got caught up doing something else. That's why he didn't come.
Okay.
Blacker.
I think too, like Ashley was talking about with the cooking, like a lot of times with the roast, the fat ends up in liquid, which is great. It's delicious. Absolutely. I always drink the liquid from the roast, but with the steak, you tend to have the fat stay on more. So from a fat perspective, you're probably going to get a higher quantity of fat eating the steak.
And I got to throw one more thing in there. It depends on how you like it too, because some people don't like. My wife wasn't originally the big fan of this, like the chew of a steak. So the softer roasted meat was easier to eat. And some people are like that. They prefer the softer texture of the meat cooked that way. So
yeah. And if you have histamine issues, the roast is going to be a little higher histamine than a quickly cooked fresh steak.
There you go.
We got a 5-pound super chat. Everything has a cause. What is the cause of hair loss? Is it inflammation in the head area? Does eating fat fix it?
We're all looking at Dr. Nelson.
You're gonna let one of the
thyroid.
I don't know, Lynn. You told me I couldn't answer these questions.
I did. I didn't tell you that. That's true.
And you did.
Well, most of the time it's nutrient deficiency, right?
Maybe we're talking about in women. I mean, thyroid is one. I mean, there could be multiple things that can cause hair loss. It could be stress. It could be under eating. Inflammation in the head area. I mean, you can have follicular inflammation. I know that I have had problems with my hair follicles when I've had my mast cells flaring up. I'm kind of the exception. I don't think most people have that. But, I mean, there's other hormonal imbalances that can cause it. I'd say if you're having hair loss and you're, it's something new, check and see and make sure you're eating enough, but also get your thyroid checked, to get some other panels checked. Make sure that there isn't some sort of an imbalance going on.
All right. Question. Insulin is a powerful hormone, and I've heard so many doctors say it has hundreds of functions. Can you name some? It doesn't show up on Google searches.
It does if you ask the right questions, but sometimes you might know the answer before you ask the question. That's how you can phrase it. But insulin, the main function of insulin is, or one of the main functions, fat storage. When insulin goes up, your body stops burning fat and increases the storage of fat and the production of fat from the liver. It does help in many of the cells of the body, helps glucose get into the cells. There are some cells in the body that don't need the insulin's help. But anything that it's not the growth hormone, but it's a growth hormone. Okay, it helps in protein synthesis and building the structures of the body. But of course, the most well-known functions have to do with energy metabolism.
Doesn't it help with cognitive function if you, assuming you don't have issues with insulin resistance?
Well, for many years now, dementia or Alzheimer's has been called type 3 diabetes because there is a problem with insulin sensitivity and glucose getting into the body. And if you're not producing enough ketones, then your brain cells are going to use glucose. But when there are ketones around, they prefer the ketones, and the heart as well. Okay. So very low carbohydrate diets, because of that, to me, are essential.
Hey, we got Bill Knott in the house. Everyone go check out Bill Knott's YouTube channel.
Hello, Bill.
All right. Question. I've been carnivore for a month. I get constipated. My psoriasis is not improving. That's the reason I started, and I still have brain fog when I wake up. I do BBBE, eat a lot of fat.
Still very early. And yeah, psoriasis. Yeah, I mean, as far as the psoriasis and the brain fog, it's still very early. I'd be wondering if you're getting enough electrolytes and if you're drinking enough water. What are your thoughts, Dr. Nelson?
I say complete at least 90 days and then ask the question again, because you're too early, probably. Psoriasis, we are starting to maybe fund and get some studies in particularly carnivore, but it seems the anecdotal evidence is more and more people keep saying my psoriasis got better and this autoimmune problem got better. The lupus or the rheumatoid arthritis or almost anything got better. That's because it's a very uninflammatory diet, as opposed to what many people say, oh, red meat, it's inflammatory. It's not. That's BS. But yeah, 30 days. How are you feeling, number one? And if there is no difference, wait and see what happens. Hopefully it's not getting worse. But it's
Yeah,
too
and
early.
psoriasis is autoimmune, and so a lot of people have to be like me and go low histamine. It's because mine is an immune system disease, but autoimmune very similar. A lot of people need to go low histamine lion diet, and that's when I really turned a corner with my health. So if you're still get yourself through this transition period, and like Dr. Nelson said, do it for the 90 days. But if you're still struggling, really think about maybe going a low histamine lion diet.
Just one more comment on there that Jesus and Carnivore put in there. If you didn't see that, it's she said her psoriasis was gone after 6 months. So some people definitely take longer.
Nice. I just posted a video I did with Stephen Lashbrook, who had just the most severe case of psoriasis for 30 years. And carnivore saved him. And in particular, Lynn's comments, I think he went more lion diet.
Do you remember how long it took him?
It was quick. Well, I don't want to say quick, but I think I want to say 60 to 90 days. It's been a year since I filmed the video, so I don't remember exactly, but 30 years of suffering to the point where he had a picture of the sheet with just like blood on it. It was that serious of an issue for him. All right. Here's a question. Candice, what foods can trigger histamine, or is it just according to the individual?
Well, yes, there's definitely an individuality to it as far as your own sensitivity. I talked about the histamine bucket. Everyone's histamine bucket is a different size. And so some people, say, for example, people who have a peanut allergy, they have this little tiny histamine bucket for peanuts, and they have one peanut and they're in severe anaphylaxis. So it can vary depending on the individual as far as what your sensitivity is. But if you do have histamine intolerance, the foods that can trigger that also, again, are subjective. So you need to really test it out for yourself. But they tend to be aged in smoked foods, egg whites, pepper. I mean, if you're talking carnivore foods, pork can be an issue. And even like fish, if you go to the store and you think you're getting fresh fish because it's on ice, doesn't necessarily mean it's fish. Fish can start to produce histamine very quickly. Some people have struggle with leftovers. So you may start out with fresh food and fresh meat, but if you have leftovers and you store it in the fridge, some people are so sensitive they can't eat the leftovers. They have to freeze them, and then thaw them and reheat them when you're ready to eat them. So I would definitely check out the histamine list from the Swiss Interest Group. It is a really, really thorough histamine list. So Swiss Interest Group histamine list, and it's the best one I've seen. And that will give you not only a list of foods that are considered high histamine, but also ones that will trigger mast cell degranulation and release histamine. There are foods that, like histamine is a biogenic amine, and there are others in the body, and there are foods that will compete with histamine for the enzyme that breaks down histamine. So the enzyme will actually break down these other amines before it's going to break down histamine. So you kind of want to avoid those foods too, because your enzyme, the DAO enzyme, you want it to dedicate itself to breaking down the histamine. So this is a really great resource. So check that out. If you want to have a link to it, it's in my histamine video on my channel.
All right. Kelly is asking, Ashley, is there any chance there will be a meetup on the East Coast this year? Oh, you're muted.
I said year, possibly. Summer, probably not. I don't think we have that on the calendar. I know there's one in Boston. So if we want to, if you want to make sure that one is
June.
Dr. Kiltz is putting on. I believe that is May 28th.
June 28th.
June 28th. Thanks. Yeah, that one is on Dr. Kiltz's website, and that one looks to be great. Dr. Thomas Seafree is going to be there. I don't know, Dr. Nelson, you're going to be there as well. Who else is going to be there? There's several that
I believe Dr. Lisa Wiedemann is going to be there as
Dr.
well.
Wiedemann? Yeah, the information's on their website. I don't know if you have that one, Kerry, that you can post up there, but it's, I think, Dr. Kiltz.
drkiltz.com. It's right on the homepage there. There's a really good list of all the upcoming meetups right there.
Or kiltzmeetup.com.
kiltzmeetup.com. All right. Next question. Are there links to the guests we're supposed to subscribe to? Yes, there's a link to each of these guests right in the description, right in the top there. You can click on each one to subscribe.
She's just want to build non-slave neighbors in Alaska.
Oh, nice. Carnivore Cat, is pork okay to eat on carnivore? I love bacon, but what about ham and ribs? How much pork can you actually eat?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say a caution on ribs. Most ribs, especially if you're buying them in restaurants, stuff like that, are slathered with some sugary barbecue sauces and rubs. So be careful eating those. But yeah, no, they're most of the time they're fantastic.
5-pound super chat. My goal weight is 75 kg. Is 25 g of protein per 100 g of meat a good estimate? I get confused. Online calculators suggest 165 to 175 of protein daily.
I get confused too. That's why I don't measure.
Yeah.
So 75 kilos is about 160 pounds. So 165 grams of protein, that will be about right. And I'm just calculating my brain here, my head. But 75 kilos is about 160 pounds, I think. So 165 grams of protein, yeah.
And would this be a good person to try the Keto Mojo and see if they use that to help gauge as well?
Yeah, if you want to track, definitely I would certainly get one of those. It measures ketones and glucose. And again, you can play a little bit with the macros, especially if you're looking to improve certain particular problems. For example, anything related to the brain, whether it's mental disorders or neurological disorders, uh, they're all the brain. So any nervous system, any neuropathy, also people who are dealing or adding this to their treatment of cancer, you want to be in ketosis. Uh, and a tool like that it's helpful. Just to tweak the numbers, increase the fat, decrease the protein.
All right. Should we do another giveaway? We're going to give away a 30-day free membership to healinghumanity.life. Here we go. And if you don't win and you still want to get access, healinghumanity.life, Candy Keith, congratulations. 30 days free membership. If you didn't win, there's a link in the description. Promo code LIFE325. You can get 50% off your first month. We've got awesome doctors, experts, courses, Zoom calls, like 12 of them a week. So come join us if you need some more community on the carnivore diet. Let's see. All right. So if we weren't able to get to your question, like I mentioned earlier, feel free to jump on over to the membership site and we'll try to answer them there. But we are at the end of the hour here now.
Can we quickly answer the one about the heart palpitations?
Yeah.
To leave that one. So that was at 42 after the hour.
Here we go. Sometimes I get heart palpitations. What can I do to change that? Some people tell me I'm consuming too much salt.
I personally had heart palpitations with the histamine. So, yeah, Dr. Nelson can definitely weigh in, but I can share my personal experience is that when I have too much histamine, I get heart palpitations. So a lot of people, and the reason why I bring up histamine a lot is because there are way more people that have histamine sensitivities than we realize. And even with my mast cell activation syndrome, it's still listed as rare on the NIH website, but it is not. And the experts in the area of mast cell activation syndrome say that possibly maybe 1 in 6 people has the same condition that I have. And that's just the mast cell disease. Then there's the histamine intolerance. So histamine is a much bigger deal than I think people realize. And I think because we're so unhealthy, we maybe going carnivore makes it show up for you a little more. You got to get some benefits, but then all of a sudden you're noticing, I'm eating a lot more meat. I'm eating a lot more, things that are smoked and aged, and eating more eggs and bacon. And all of a sudden your histamine bucket is full and you start getting things like heart palpitations, and it can affect every part of your body. And that is one of the areas that can be affected. So my thought is to maybe try going low histamine and see if the heart palpitations go away. But of course, it would depend too. Like, do you measure your heart rate? How long are they sustained? Are you feeling dizzy, weak? If that's happening, you need to go see your doctor. So any other thoughts, Dr. Nelson?
Yeah, when it's happening, it's important also. Is it when you stand up, when you get up from bed? Is it after exercise? Is it, there are many other questions that come to my mind. I've completely reversed my hypertension. And after being hypertensive for many years, now my blood pressure is normal. Today, as a matter of fact, the reason I broke my fast, I was planning to go longer, was because I was feeling a bit dizzy and my blood pressure was 118. That's not bad. That's my normal now. But if I'm not having enough salt during the day, when I stand up, I get tachycardic, I get palpitations because my blood pressure is dropping down. My arterial system was stiffing up, okay? Because that's what happens when you have hypertension for a long time. Now that I lost the weight and decreased my insulin levels and all that, those arteries are probably a little bit damaged. They're too flexible to keep the pressure normal. And it's frequent to have on very low carbohydrate diets and carnivore diets to have people that develop POTS, for example. It's not the diet cost that, is your previous damage. It's still there somewhat, and it might take some time to adjust. And yeah, you might need to consume more salt. I don't think too much salt causes that. I think lack of enough
Yeah, I
salt
was gonna
probably.
say so many people going to carnivore end up having not nearly as much salt as they did before, especially if you eat a lot of packaged food. You'd be amazed at how much sodium is in packaged foods. So maybe I'd be curious because the question included, are you getting too much salt?
I don't think
Maybe
so.
probably not. Most people get way less salt on a carnivore diet than they did before.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. Thank you, Adam, Ashley, Lynn, Dr. Nelson, for joining. We do this every week, Thursday, Carnivore Q&A, so join us next week. Is there anything you guys want to mention or shout out before we wrap up?
I have one thing just for anybody who has ever won and today won the 1 month free membership. Look for an email from me. It'll come from lynn@healinghumanity.movie. And so if you don't see it within the next several days, check your spam filter.
Good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.